She was just a waitress. That is the whole sentence. That is the entire truth of her life on that Thursday evening. She was a waitress. She had a section of 6 tables. She had worn shoes that had been comfortable 4 years ago when she bought them. She had 1 hour left in her shift. She had exactly enough energy for 1 hour. She was not looking for anything. She was not expecting anything. She wanted to finish her shift and go home and eat whatever was left in her refrigerator and sleep. That was the plan. But the plan did not account for Table 7. Table 7 was in the corner. Quiet corner. Good corner. The kind of corner that serious people requested, because it had a wall on 2 sides, and a clear view of the door, and nobody could sit behind you. Serious people had requested it tonight. There were 4 men in dark suits at the tables surrounding Table 7. Not eating. Not talking to each other. Just there. The way furniture is there, except furniture does not have eyes that move across every person who walks through the door. Elena had noticed them when they arrived. She had noticed because you always notice when the air in a room changes, and these 4 men had changed the air without doing anything at all. But her manager had taken their order himself, nervous, fast, too many smiles, and Elena had told herself that was not her table and went back to her own section. Then her manager found her at the service counter. His face was wrong. Table 7, he said, low voice. The kind of low that means something. The gentleman. He is. He wants something and I cannot. He stopped, wiped his forehead. He is speaking and I cannot understand what he is saying, and he is getting upset, and you need to go. That is not my table, Elena said. Elena. He looked at her. Please. I am asking you. Just go and see if you can help. She looked across the restaurant at Table 7. The old man was sitting alone at the table in the corner. Small, thin, white hair, white shirt, a dark jacket that was very old and very well made. He had the face of a man who had once been very handsome and was now something more than handsome, the way old faces sometimes are, carved down to what is essential. He was trying to talk to one of the suited men beside him. The suited man was nodding, clearly understood nothing, nodding anyway in the way people nod when they are hoping the nodding itself will solve the problem. The old man looked frustrated, not angry, not aggressive, just alone in a particular way. The way you are alone when you are surrounded by people and not one of them can reach you. Elena knew that feeling. She put down her order pad. She walked to Table 7. The 4 suited men looked at her immediately. All 4. At the same time. The way they moved was coordinated without being choreographed, natural, automatic. The way people move when watching is something they have done for so long it has become breathing. She did not look at them. She looked at the old man. She pulled out the chair across from him, not beside him, across, so he could see her face, and she sat down. The suited man nearest her made a sound, like he was about to say something. The old man raised one hand. Small movement. The suited man went quiet. The old man looked at Elena. She looked back at him, and then she said, in a voice that was quiet and direct and completely natural, like she was simply continuing a conversation that had already been going on. She spoke to him in Sicilian, not Italian, not the kind of Italian that people learn in school or hear in restaurants. Sicilian, old Sicilian, the kind that comes from a specific place and a specific time and a specific set of people who carried it with them when they left the island and kept it alive the way you keep something alive, by using it every day, by refusing to let it go, by passing it from one pair of hands to the next. The old man went completely still. The restaurant went completely still. Even the 4 suited men, who did not seem like the kind of men who went still for any reason, went still. The old man stared at her. Then his eyes, dark and old and sharp as anything, filled with something. He said her words back to her. In Sicilian. A question. She answered. In Sicilian. He said something else. Faster this time. Something that was half a sentence and half a sound. The kind that only makes sense if you grew up inside the language, if the language lives in your body and not just your head. She answered that too, without pausing, without translating in her head first. Just answered, the way you answer in your own language. The old man put both hands flat on the table, and he smiled. Not a polite smile, not a restaurant smile, a real one, deep and sudden and completely unguarded. The smile of a man who has just heard, in a foreign city in a foreign country at a corner table, that he specifically requested because he does not like people behind him. The sound of home. Elena did not know what that smile cost. She did not know it had been 2 years since anyone had seen it. She did not know that across the restaurant, at the bar, with a glass of water he had not touched, in a dark jacket and a face that gave nothing away, a man was watching. She did not know his name. She did not know what he did. She did not know that in this city, in every room he had ever walked into, people were afraid of him. She did not know any of that. She only knew an old man was smiling, and that felt like enough. It was not enough. It was the beginning. Her name was Elena Vasquez, 27 years old, born in a small town that most people had never heard of, raised by a grandmother who cooked everything from scratch and believed that a person's character could be read entirely from how they treated people who had nothing to give them back. Elena had believed that too. She still did. It made certain things harder. It also made her, without her knowing it, exactly the kind of person that other people remembered long after she had forgotten them. She had been in the city for 3 years. She had the waitress job and a small apartment and a very clear idea of what she needed her life to look like: stable, manageable, forward-moving, and a very clear idea of what she did not need: drama, complications, men who looked at her like she was a problem to solve. She had enough of that in her 20s. She was done with complicated. Thursday was a double shift. 8 hours on her feet in a restaurant that was nicer than anywhere she had ever eaten as a customer. White tablecloths, soft lighting, a menu she had memorized in 2 weeks, but still sometimes found beautiful even now. She was good at this job. She was good at most jobs she put her attention into. Her section was always clean. Her orders were always right. The kitchen liked her because she was clear, and the customers liked her because she was warm without being performative about it. She was in the middle of a perfectly ordinary Thursday when her manager appeared at the service counter with the wrong face. His name was David, mid-40s, generally calm, the kind of calm that restaurant managers develop after years of everything going wrong in different ways. He was not calm now. "Table 7, he said, too quietly. "I need you." Elena looked up from the dessert order she was writing. "That is not my table." "I know. Elena, please." She looked at him properly. Read his face. Then she looked across the restaurant at the corner table. She had noticed the suited men when they arrived. Hard not to notice. They had a presence that pushed the air around them. But she had not looked closely at the table itself. She looked now. Old man. White hair. Good jacket. Sitting very straight the way people sit when they have been taught from childhood that how you sit says something about you. He was trying to talk to the young suited man beside him. The suited man was nodding with the desperate energy of someone who had been nodding for 10 minutes and knew it was not working. The old man's face had gone tight. Not angry. Tired. The particular tired of someone who has tried to be understood and given up. Elena put down her pen. She crossed the restaurant. She felt the 4 suited men register her before she reached the table. All of them. The particular quality of attention that certain people carry. Always watching. Always measuring, always making a quiet decision about whether something is a problem. She did not look at them. She pulled out the chair directly across from the old man. She sat down. One of the suited men said, "Excuse me." The old man raised one finger. One finger. That was all. The suited man stopped talking. The old man looked at Elena. His eyes were very dark and very sharp, and he was looking at her the way you look at something unexpected, trying to decide what it is. Elena looked back at him calmly. Then she said, in the dialect she had grown up hearing every day, in the language her grandmother had spoken in the kitchen and in the garden and at the table and in the dark when the nights were long, she spoke to him in Sicilian. She asked him simply what he needed. The old man's hands went flat on the table. He stared at her. She waited. Then he answered, slowly at first, like a man testing ice. 1 word, then 2. Then a full sentence, and it opened something. Saying the full sentence, she could see it open in his face like a door. She answered, easy, natural. He said something fast, a phrase so specific, so regional, so embedded in a particular valley, in a particular part of the island, that most people who spoke Italian would not have caught it. She caught it. She answered it. He laughed. Short. Surprised. Real. He looked at her like she had just done something extraordinary, when she had done nothing except answer a question in a language she had spoken since she was 4 years old. "Where did you learn this?" he said. "In Sicilian." Slowly enough for her to follow. "My grandmother," she said. "She never let me forget it." He was quiet for a moment. "Smart woman," he said. "The smartest I ever knew," Elena said. He nodded. Slowly. Like that answer had passed some test she had not known she was taking. He told her what he wanted. She wrote it down. She brought it. She came back twice to check on him, and both times he talked to her. Small things. Easy things. The things you talk about when you are relieved to be able to talk to someone. She did not think anything of it. She did not notice, the second time she came back, that the man at the bar had moved, that he was standing now instead of sitting, that his glass of water was still untouched, that he was watching her with the focused attention of someone who has just seen something he was not expecting, and was trying to understand what it means. She cleared the old man's first course. She went back to her section. She had 40 minutes left in her shift. She was thinking about what was. She finished her shift at 10. She changed out of her work clothes in the small staff bathroom at the back. Black trousers off. Blue jeans on. Work shoes off. Old white sneakers on. She tied her hair back and picked up her bag and said goodnight to the kitchen staff and walked out the back door into the cold alley behind the restaurant. She had done this every night for 2 years. Same door. Same alley. Same left turn onto the main street. Same 12-minute walk to the bus stop. Tonight was different. He was standing at the end of the alley, not blocking it, not threatening, just standing there, hands in his jacket pockets, looking at her the way he had been looking at her from the bar, like she was something he had not yet figured out, and he was not the kind of man who left things unfigured. Elena stopped. She looked at him. Dark jacket, dark hair, a face that was, she registered this without wanting to, extremely difficult to look away from. Not pretty, not soft, the kind of face that had been through things and come out the other side of them looking like it knew something most faces did not. He was alone. No suits around him out here. Just him. She did not move toward him. She did not move away. "You were at the bar," she said. "Yes," he said. "You were watching." "Yes," he said again. No apology in it. No embarrassment. Just yes. Like watching was something he did and had no particular feelings about. She looked at him for a moment. "I don't know you," she said. "No," he said. "You don't." "Then I'm going to walk to the bus stop," she said. "And you are going to stay where you are." She started walking. He said, "My father laughed tonight." She stopped. Not because of who he was. She still did not know who he was. She stopped because of the way he said it. The same way Dante had said 8 months in the other story. Flat and careful and caused something. She turned around. He had not moved. Still at the end of the alley. Still hands in pockets. "The old man is your father," she said. "Don Enzo Romano," he said. "Yes." She looked at him. "He has not laughed," he said. "In 2 years. Not since my mother died. He came to this city to see me, and he has been here 3 weeks, and I have sat across from him at dinner every night for 3 weeks, and I have not." He stopped. Something moved in his jaw. I could not reach him. I do not speak the dialect. My mother did. My father and my mother spoke it between themselves, and I grew up hearing it, but I never. Another stop. I never learned it properly. I thought I had time. Elena was quiet. He looked at her directly. "Who are you?" he said. Not demanding. Just asking. Like it was a question he genuinely needed answered. "A waitress," she said. "That is the whole answer." "It is not," he said. "It is tonight," she said. "Good night, Mr. Romano." She walked to the bus stop. He did not follow her. But she thought about that sentence the entire way home. He has not laughed in 2 years. What she did not know about him. His name was Luca Romano. 34 years old. Born in Palermo. Raised between Sicily and this city. Educated in 3 countries. Fluent in 4 languages. Not counting the one that mattered to his father. He had taken over from Don Enzo 6 years ago. Not because his father was weak. Don Enzo Romano was never weak. But because there's a time for a certain kind of man, and Luca was the right kind for this time. Sharper in different ways. Colder in some ways. Better at the new world. The invisible parts of it. The parts that do not exist in rooms you can see. He was respected. He was also more than respected. There was another word. The kind of word that people said quietly when they said his name. He had not cared about that word for a long time. It had simply become part of the air around him. Background noise. Like traffic. He had not cared about much, if he was honest, for 2 years. Since his mother. She had been the warm center of everything. The person who translated. Not just language, though she did that too. But the other things. The things between his father and the world. The things between his father and him. She had been the soft place inside a life that was mostly hard edges, and she had gone suddenly, and the absence of her had changed the shape of every room. His father had gone quiet in a way that was not just grief. It was displacement. Don Enzo was a man built for a specific world, a specific language, a specific set of people, a specific warmth, and that world had been getting smaller since he left the island 50 years ago, and when Luca's mother died, the last piece of it went with her. Luca had tried. He was not good at the soft things, but he had tried. 3 weeks of dinners. 3 weeks of sitting across from his father and watching the old man be present, but not there. Eating but not tasting. Answering but not talking. And then a waitress in white sneakers had sat down across from him and opened her mouth. And Don Enzo had laughed. Luca had stood at the bar and watched his father's face change and felt something move in his chest that he had not felt in 2 years. Something that was almost hope. He did not know what to do with almost hope. He had not had practice. She did not expect to see the old man again. She went to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Each shift the same. Her section, her tables, her 12-minute walk to the bus stop. She did not see Luca Romano at the bar again. She did not see any suits near the door. She told herself the matter was finished and felt. Not relieved exactly. Something more complicated than relieved. She did not examine it. Then Tuesday arrived. She was setting her section before the lunch service when the door opened. Don Enzo Romano walked in. Alone. No suits. Just the old man in his good old jacket with his white hair and his straight back and his face that had the leftover architecture of something once very handsome. He looked across the restaurant. He found Elena. He walked directly to her section and sat down at the nearest table and folded his hands and looked up at her. She looked back at him. "You came back," she said. "In Sicilian." "Of course," he said. "In Sicilian." Like this was obvious. Like he could not imagine why she would have thought otherwise. She almost smiled. "Are you hungry?" "Always," he said. "But first sit." "I am working." "You are the only person in this section," he said. "Sit for 5 minutes. Then you can work." She looked around. He was right. Lunch had not started yet. The restaurant was empty except for 2 tables at the far end that were not hers. She sat. He looked at her for a moment, the sharp dark eyes taking stock. "My son came to see you," he said. Not a question. "He was waiting in the alley," she said. The old man made a sound. Short, between amusement and disapproval. "In the alley. Like a—" He said a word in Sicilian that had no direct English translation, but meant something like a cat that doesn't know how to knock on doors. Elena did laugh this time. She could not help it. Don Enzo looked satisfied. "He does not know how to talk to people," he said. "Not normal people. He knows how to talk to." He waved a hand. The wave communicated clearly what kind of people. But normal people. Women. People who are not afraid of him. Another wave. "He has forgotten." "He seemed fine to me," Elena said. "He waited in an alley," Don Enzo said. "Fair point. He is a good man," the old man said. And the shift in his voice was complete. From dry to serious, in one breath. "I want you to know that. Whatever you have heard. Whatever you think you know. He is a good man who has been carrying very heavy things for a very long time." Elena looked at him. "Don Enzo," she said carefully. "I am a waitress. I spoke to your son for 2 minutes in an alley, and then I went home." "I know," he said. "So whatever you are." "I am not doing anything," he said. Innocent face. The face of a man who was absolutely doing something. I am an old man who is lonely, and you speak my language. That is all. She looked at him. He looked back. Every Tuesday, he said. I will come. We will talk. You will bring me food. I will tell you about Sicily. You will tell me about your grandmother. That is all. Elena looked at this small old man with his folded hands and his innocent face and his eyes that were sharp as anything. That is all, she said. That is all, he said. Simply. The way people say things they mean in multiple directions at once. She stood up. She picked up her order pad. The fish today is very good, she said. In Sicilian. He smiled. Then the fish, he said. What he told her. He came every Tuesday. Without fail. Without calling ahead. Without the suits. Though she suspected they were somewhere nearby, just not visible. Don Enzo Romano did not seem like a man who went anywhere completely alone. He just made sure it looked that way. He ate. He talked. He told her about Palermo. About the street where he grew up. Narrow, loud. The smell of bread from the bakery below their apartment every morning. He told her about his own father, who had the same first name and a different face, and hands that could fix anything mechanical. He told her about leaving. The specific grief of leaving a place you love, because the place you love cannot hold what your life needs to become. She listened the way her grandmother had taught her to listen, with her whole body, not just her ears, without checking the clock, without waiting for her turn to talk, just actually listening. Don Enzo noticed. You listen like a Sicilian woman, he told her on the third Tuesday. My grandmother was a Sicilian woman, she said. I know, he said. I can tell. He asked her about the grandmother. She told him. Small things first, the cooking, the garden, the way she had of making you feel like the most important person in the room, simply by paying attention to you. Then bigger things. The grandmother had come to this country alone at 19, had built a life from the specific materials available. Hard work, stubbornness, the refusal to let the language go even when everyone around her spoke something else. Don Enzo listened to this the way she listened to him. Completely. She sounds like my wife, he said. He had not mentioned his wife before. Elena did not push. She sounds like a woman who knew what mattered, she said. Yes, he said. The best ones always do. He was quiet for a moment. Luca's mother, he said. She was like that. She saw things clearly. People. Situations. She would look at someone and say, that one is good, or that one is afraid, or that one is lying about something small, and the something small is not really small. He stopped. She saw my son clearly. Better than I do sometimes. Better than he sees himself. Elena waited. She would have liked you, he said. Elena looked at him. She would have sat here, he said, and listened to you the same way. And then she would have gone home and told Luca, that girl, that specific girl. Not yet, but eventually, that girl. The restaurant was quiet around them. Soft lunchtime sounds from the kitchen. 2 tables in the far corner talking quietly. Don Enzo, Elena said. I know, he said. He picked up his fork. I am just an old man talking. Eat something. You look thin. I am not eating, I am working. Then work and listen, he said. I have more to tell you. What she noticed, she told herself, she was not thinking about Luca Romano. She was a very good liar to herself about some things. This was not one of them. She thought about him on the bus home on the Tuesdays after Don Enzo left. She thought about what the old man said. He has been carrying very heavy things. She thought about the way Luca had stood at the end of the alley with his hands in his pockets and said he has not laughed in 2 years in a voice that was controlled everywhere except the one place it wasn't. She thought about that place. The one uncontrolled thing in an otherwise very controlled sentence. She thought about it more than she wanted to. On the 4th Tuesday, Don Enzo said casually, looking at his food, My son asks about you. Elena kept her face still. What does he ask? How you are? Don Enzo said. What we talk about. Whether you have mentioned him. I haven't, she said. I know, he said. I told him that. What did he say? Don Enzo smiled at his plate. He said, Of course she hasn't. The old man looked up, like he expected it, like it was exactly what someone worth thinking about would do. Elena looked out the restaurant window. A black car was parked across the street. She had noticed it last Tuesday too. Different car, same position. He sits outside sometimes, Don Enzo said, following her gaze. While we talk. He does not come in. He just... The old man shrugged. He sits. Elena looked at the black car for a moment. That is either very thoughtful, she said, or very strange. With Luca, Don Enzo said. It is usually both. The person who was watching. She did not know about the other watcher. Not the black car. Not Luca. Someone else. His name was Pharaoh. He worked for a man who had a long history with the Romano family, not friendship. The other kind. The kind that had been building for years in the specific way that certain grudges build. Slowly, carefully. Getting heavier, with time instead of lighter. He had been watching Don Enzo for weeks. Routine surveillance. Who the old man saw. Where he went. What patterns emerged. The pattern that had emerged was a restaurant. Every Tuesday. Same table. Same waitress. Pharaoh took photographs. He sent them to his employer. His employer looked at the photographs for a long time. Then he said, "Find out who she is." Pharaoh found out. Elena Vasquez. 27. Waitress. Small apartment. No connections. No family in this city. Just a grandmother's language and a job, and a 12-minute walk to the bus stop every night. His employer looked at this information. He thought about Don Enzo's face in the photographs, alive, animated, talking with his hands the way the old man had not been photographed doing in 2 years. He thought about what that meant to Luca Romano. He thought about leverage. He thought about a waitress who walked to the bus stop alone every night, for 12 minutes. "Tuesday," he said to Pharaoh. "Which Tuesday?" He looked at the photographs again. "Next one," he said. "Sunday night. She was home. Late. After the Sunday dinner service. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost did not answer. She answered. It's Luca Romano." She sat down on her couch. "How did you get this number?" she said. A pause. "My father gave it to me." She was going to have words with Don Enzo. "What do you want?" she said. Not rude. Just direct. She was tired and her feet hurt, and she was not in the mood for anything complicated. "I want to apologize," he said, "for the alley." That was a pause. Unusual pause. Like the word was somewhere he had to go find it. "That was not how I should have approached you." She said nothing. Waited. "My father talks about you," he said. "Every time I see him. For the first time in 2 years he is. He is present. He is there when I talk to him. He looks at me like he can see me." The controlled voice. The one uncontrolled place inside it. "I don't know how to thank someone for that." "You don't need to thank me," she said. "I like him. He is. He is very easy to talk to." "He is not easy to talk to," Luca said. "He is the most difficult man I have ever known." "Maybe you are not talking to him right," she said. Silence. "Maybe," he said. She looked at her ceiling. "He comes every Tuesday," she said. "I know. You could come inside," she said, "instead of sitting in the car." Long pause. "He told you about the car." "He tells me most things," she said. Another pause. Longer. "Would that be all right?" he said. "If I came inside." She thought about an old man who drove 40 minutes every Tuesday to eat fish and speak his language. She thought about what Don Enzo had said. He has been carrying very heavy things. She thought about the one uncontrolled place. "Next Tuesday," she said. "Come inside." She hung up. She sat in her quiet apartment for a while. Then she said out loud to nobody, "Do not make this complicated, Elena." Her apartment said nothing back, which she took as agreement. It was not agreement. Tuesday came the way Tuesdays always came. Quietly. Without announcement. Without any sign that this one was going to be different from the ones before it. Elena arrived at work at 9. She set her section. She folded napkins. She checked the salt and pepper. She did the 12 small ordinary things she always did before a shift, and she told herself, today is a normal day. Don Enzo will come. They will talk. She will bring him fish. He will tell her something about Sicily that she did not know, and she will go home. Normal. Except she had told Luca Romano to come inside. She had been thinking about that since Sunday night. Not constantly. She was not the kind of person who turned things over and over. But it was there. In the background. A thing she had said, and could not unsay. Come inside. 2 words. Simple words. The most complicated 2 words she had said in a long time. She was still folding napkins when the door opened at 12:15. Don Enzo came first. Same jacket. Same straight back. Same walk, unhurried, certain. The walk of a man who has decided where he is going and sees no reason to rush. Behind him, Luca. Elena had seen him once. In an alley. At night. Dark jacket. Hands in pockets. A face that gave nothing away. She saw him now in the daylight of the restaurant, and it was different. He was taller than she remembered. He moved differently than his father. Not the certain, unhurried walk of an old man who has already decided. Something quicker underneath. More controlled. Like a man who is always making small adjustments. Reading the room. Reading the exits. Reading every person between him and the door. He looked at her immediately. Not searching. Not scanning. Immediately. Like he had already known exactly where she would be. She looked back. Don Enzo reached her section first. He sat at his usual table. The one she had started thinking of as his, which she did not examine too closely. He folded his hands. He looked up at her. His eyes were bright. He was enjoying this enormously. Luca pulled out the chair beside his father and sat down. He looked at the table. Then at her. Elena, he said. Mr. Romano, she said. Luca, he said. Don Enzo said nothing, but she could see his mouth, doing something very controlled in the corner. She took their order. Don Enzo ordered the fish, always the fish. Luca looked at the menu for 30 seconds and ordered the same thing. Don Enzo looked at his son when he did this. Said nothing. The nothing was loud. Elena went to the kitchen. She stood at the service counter and breathed for a moment. The chef, Marco, 40 years old, had worked here since before she arrived. Looked at her from across the pass. You all right? Fine, she said. He looked past her to the table in the corner. Then he looked back at her with an expression that said he had opinions, but had decided today was not the day to share them. She went back to her section. The lunch. Don Enzo talked. He always talked. Today he talked about a specific Tuesday in 1987 in a specific street in Palermo, where a man had tried to sell him a car that turned out to be 3 different cars assembled into one. He told this story with tremendous detail and dramatic pausing and a conclusion that involved a very creative use of Sicilian vocabulary that Elena was not going to translate here. She laughed. Luca listened to his father. She watched him listen, not obviously. She was not obvious about it, but she watched. He was looking at his father the way you look at something you have missed without knowing you missed it, like a man who thought he had memorized a face and is realizing there is more there than he remembered. Don Enzo told another story. This one was about his mother. Short, funny at the beginning and then, without warning, something else at the end. The way real stories are. Luca looked at the table. Don Enzo looked at Elena. She said in Sicilian, to Don Enzo, "She sounds like she was wonderful." Don Enzo said, "She was the most stubborn woman God ever made, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment." Luca looked up at his father. The two of them. Something passed between them, old and complicated and not needing words. Then Don Enzo said, still in Sicilian, "Tell her something. About yourself. Something true." Elena looked at her order pad. Luca said in Italian, because he did not have the dialect. "What did he say?" "He said the fish here is very fresh," Elena said. Don Enzo made a sound that was not agreement. Luca looked at Elena. "What did he actually say?" he said. She met his eyes. "He said, 'Tell me something true,'" she said. "His words." Luca looked at his father. Don Enzo was examining his fish with great interest. A moment. Then Luca looked at Elena. "I burned the pasta last week," he said. "I was trying to make my mother's recipe. I have tried 6 times. Every time, something is wrong. Not terrible. Just not right. Not like hers." Silence at the table. Don Enzo put his fork down. He looked at his son. Luca was not looking at his father. He was looking at the table, like he had not planned to say that, and was still deciding if he regretted it. Don Enzo said, very quietly, in Sicilian, "He burns the pasta?" 6 times, Elena said. The old man was quiet for a moment. Then he said in Italian, to his son, "You are using the wrong tomatoes." Luca looked up. Your mother used the small ones. From the market on the corner. Not the ones in the tin. Don Enzo picked up his fork again. The ones in the tin are fine for other things. Not for that recipe. Luca stared at his father. That is all, he said. That is all. Don Enzo said. Another moment. Then Luca laughed. Short. Surprised. The kind that comes out before you decide to let it. Don Enzo looked at Elena. She looked back at him. His eyes said, you see? You see what was just in there waiting to come out? She looked at her order pad, so he would not see her face. After lunch, they stayed 2 hours. Don Enzo did most of the talking. Luca listened. Sometimes he said something, short, careful, testing the shape of it before he let it out. The kind of person who did not speak unless the words were worth speaking. Elena came and went. The lunch service got busier. She had other tables. But she came back to their corner, and each time she came back Don Enzo pulled her into whatever he was saying, and each time she sat for 2 minutes and talked, and then stood up again and worked. She did not notice that it was the most natural thing in the world, that she moved in and out of their table like she had always been part of it. Luca noticed. He noticed the way she moved, efficient, certain, no wasted steps. He noticed the way she talked to Don Enzo, direct, warm, not performing the warmth. He noticed the way his father looked when she was there versus when she stepped away. 2 different faces, both good, but one more alive. He had been trying to give his father that face for 2 years. She gave it without trying. He thought about that. At 2:30 Don Enzo said he was tired. He said it the way old men say it, not asking for anything, just stating a fact about the body. He stood up slowly. He straightened his jacket. Elena came to say goodbye. Don Enzo took her hand in both of his. He said in Sicilian, "Same time next week." "Same time," she said. He patted her hand. Then he walked toward the door. One of the suited men who had appeared near the entrance, she had not noticed when they arrived, moved to open it for him. Luca stood. He did not move immediately toward the door. He looked at Elena. "Thank you," he said. "For the fish," she said. "For," he stopped. Started. "For Tuesday. For coming back every Tuesday. For," he looked toward the door where his father had gone through. "For giving him somewhere to go." Elena looked at him. In the daylight, in the full light of the restaurant, with the last of the lunch crowd still at their tables, she could see his face properly. The tiredness in it. The specific tiredness of someone who has been responsible for everything for a very long time and has not thought to put it down. "He gives me somewhere to go too," she said. "It is not only for him." Luca looked at her, like that was the last thing he expected her to say. "Next Tuesday," she said. "Come inside again." She picked up her tray. She walked back to the kitchen. She did not look back, but she heard, behind her, the very quiet sound of a man standing still for a moment before he walked out the door. What Don Enzo said in the car. The drive home was 30 minutes. Don Enzo sat in the back. Luca sat beside him. The suited man drove. The city moved past the windows, the busy parts, then the quieter parts, then the long roads with the high walls and the gates. For the first 10 minutes neither of them spoke. Then Don Enzo said, looking out the window, not at his son, "She is not impressed by you." Luca said nothing. "Do you understand what I mean?" Don Enzo said, "When I say that." "Yes," Luca said. "Most people." Don Enzo waved a hand. The wave that communicated everything. They know your name. They arrange their faces. They think about what you can do for them, or what you can do to them, and they speak from that place. Everything they say comes from that place. He paused. She does not know that place exists. She looks at you and sees a man who cannot make pasta correctly. That is all. "She knows who I am," Luca said. "She knows your name," Don Enzo said. "That is different from knowing who you are. And she does not care about the name." He turned from the window and looked at his son. "She cares about whether you are honest, whether you listen, whether you say something true when someone asks you for something true." Luca looked at his hands. "The pasta," he said. "The pasta." Don Enzo agreed. 7 words. More honest than anything you have said to me in months. Luca looked out the window. "I did not know how to talk to you," he said. "After Mama, I did not know what to say." "I know," Don Enzo said. Not unkindly. Just plainly. I kept thinking I should say the right thing. That there was a right thing and I needed to find it. There was no right thing, Don Enzo said. There was just being there. You were there. That was enough. He paused. But the pasta was also good. Luca almost smiled. Don Enzo looked at his son for a long moment. She is a good woman, he said. Simple. I do not mean simple like small. I mean simple like clear. You can see what she is. There is no performance. What you see is the whole thing. I know, Luca said. You like her, Don Enzo said. Luca said nothing. You have liked her since the alley, Don Enzo said. When she told you she was going to the bus stop and walked away. You stood there and watched her go, and you had a look on your face that I have not seen since you were 19 years old. What look? Luca said. The look, Don Enzo said, of a man who has just met someone he does not know how to be in front of. Someone who makes the usual things not work. He settled back in his seat. It is a good look. It suits you. The car pulled through the gate. Luca looked at the house. She said come inside again next Tuesday, he said. Don Enzo said nothing, but in the reflection of the window his mouth was doing the thing it had been doing at the table. Very controlled. Very satisfied. The photograph. Pharaoh had been outside the restaurant since noon. He had a coffee from the place across the street. He had a newspaper. He was very good at looking like someone with nowhere to be and nothing to do. He watched the old man go in. He watched the tall man go in 20 minutes later. He watched through the window, carefully, from the right angle, the woman moving between tables, coming to the corner, sitting, talking, laughing at something the old man said. He took photographs. Not obvious ones. Small camera. Fast. The kind that looked like a phone if you were not looking carefully. He had 12 good photographs by the time they left. He sent them immediately. Then he stayed. He watched Elena finish her shift. He watched her change. He could not see this, but he knew the pattern by now. The back door, the blue jeans, the white sneakers. He watched her walk out the back. He noted the time. He noted the route. 12 minutes to the bus stop. Same every night. He went back to his car. He drove to a building on the east side of the city. He went up 3 floors. He knocked on a specific door. A man named Cavallo opened it. Cavallo was not large, not impressive looking. The kind of man you would not remember 5 minutes after meeting him. This was entirely deliberate. Pharaoh handed him the photographs. Cavallo looked through them slowly. He was always slow. It was not because he was slow. It was because he believed that looking carefully at something once was worth more than looking quickly at it 10 times. He stopped at one photograph. Elena laughing. At something Don Enzo had said. Her whole face open. The old man's face across from her, alive. Bright. The face of a man who was somewhere good. Cavallo looked at this photograph for a long time. Then he looked at the one beside it. Luca Romano. Sitting across the table. Not looking at his father. Looking at Elena. With an expression that was, for a man whose face gave nothing, a great deal. Cavallo put the photographs down. She means something, he said. To both of them. Pharaoh nodded. Cavallo thought. Not yet, he said. We wait. We let it develop. He tapped the photograph of Luca's face. This man does not show this face often. When he does. He stopped. When he does, it means the thing is real. And a real thing is worth more than an early thing. He handed the photographs back. Next Tuesday, he said. More. The Wednesday call. She was not expecting him to call on Wednesday. She was at home. Late afternoon. Biscuit, no, wrong story. She was at home. Just her. Cup of tea. The book she had been trying to finish for 2 weeks. The particular quiet of a Wednesday afternoon that belonged entirely to her. Her phone rang. Luca. She answered. I tried the tomatoes, he said. No hello. Like the conversation had already been going on, and this was just the next part of it. She closed her book. The small ones from the market. Yes. And a pause. She could hear, in the background, kitchen. Faint sounds. Someone moving. Better, he said. Like the word caused something. It is better. Not the same yet. No, he said. Not the same. But he stopped. Better is something. Better is something. She agreed. Silence on the line. Not uncomfortable. The kind of silence that is just two people existing on the same call without needing to fill it. She added something else. He said, "My mother." I cannot remember what. Something at the end. Something small. "Ask your father," Elena said. A pause. "He does not cook," Lucas said. "He watched her cook," Elena said. "For how many years?" Longer pause. 41, he said. "Then he knows," she said. "He just does not know he knows. Ask him. Not about the recipe. Just ask him to tell you about watching her cook. Tell him you want to hear it. Then listen." Silence. "You make it sound easy," he said. "It is not easy," she said. "But it is simple. There is a difference." He was quiet for a moment. "Elena," he said. "Yes. Can I ask you something?" "You can ask." "Why did you say come inside? On Sunday. You could have left it at the alley. You owed me nothing. Why did you say it?" She looked at the window. The afternoon light going gold. "Because your father is lonely," she said. "And I think you're lonely too. And two lonely people sitting at different tables, when they could be sitting at the same one, is wasteful." Long silence. "That is a very direct answer," he said. "You asked a direct question," she said. "Most people do not answer direct questions directly," he said. "I know," she said. "I find that exhausting." She heard something on the line. Almost nothing. Almost a sound. Almost a laugh. "Next Tuesday," he said. "Next Tuesday," she said. She hung up. She sat with her tea. She thought about what she had said. Two lonely people sitting at different tables, when they could be sitting at the same one. She thought about that being true. She thought about what it meant that it was true. She picked up her book. She read the same paragraph 4 times, without taking in a single word. The Tuesday that changed everything started like all the others. Don Enzo arrived at 12:15. Same jacket, same walk. But today he was quieter than usual. He sat down, and he folded his hands, and he looked at Elena with a face that was slightly different. Still warm, still sharp, but something underneath it that was more serious. "What is wrong?" she said. In Sicilian. "Nothing is wrong," he said. "I am thinking." "About what?" He looked at her for a long moment. "My son called me last night," he said. She waited. "He asked me about his mother's cooking." Don Enzo said. "He said, tell me about watching her cook." He said, "I want to hear it." The old man stopped. He looked at his hands. "I have not. We have not talked like that. Since she died. He is always managing things. Managing me. Making sure everything is running. I could see he was trying, but it was from a distance. Like he was managing me from a distance." Elena said nothing. "Last night was not from a distance," Don Enzo said. "Last night was my son. Just my son. Asking about his mother." He was quiet for a moment. "We talked for 2 hours. The restaurant was quiet around them. I told him about the ingredient," Don Enzo said. "The one he was missing in the recipe. A pinch of nutmeg. Very small. You would not know it was there, but without it the whole thing is slightly wrong." He looked at Elena. "A pinch of nutmeg," she said. "A pinch of nutmeg," he agreed. He picked up his coffee. "You told him to ask me." "I suggested it," she said. He looked at her over the rim of his cup. "You are very good at suggesting things," he said. "Without pushing. Without making it obvious. You just open a door and step back and let people walk through it themselves." She shrugged. "My grandmother did that," she said. "She said the best thing you can do for someone is show them the door. Walking through it has to be theirs." Don Enzo put his cup down. He looked at her with those sharp dark eyes. "I am going to tell you something," he said. In Sicilian. Low. Serious. And I want you to hear it. She went still. "There is a man," he said. "His name is Cavallo. He has a problem with our family. Old problem. The kind that does not go away because nobody has made it go away yet." He paused. "Luca knows about him. He is handling it. It is being handled." "Why are you telling me this?" she said. "Because Cavallo is a patient man," Don Enzo said. "He watches. He waits. He looks for things that matter to people." Another pause. "And you have been sitting at this table every Tuesday for 6 weeks." The restaurant felt different suddenly. Not the room. The room was the same. But the air in it. He has been watching, she said. Not a question. Probably, Don Enzo said, calmly. Like this was simply information. Luca does not know I am telling you this. He would say it is not your problem. He would say he is handling it, and you do not need to worry. But, she said, but you are a woman who walks 12 minutes to a bus stop alone every night, Don Enzo said. And I am an old man who believes people deserve to know when the ground under them has changed. She sat with that. What should I do, she said. You do not have to do anything, he said. Luca has people watching already. You probably have not noticed them. You will not notice them. They are good at not being noticed. He picked up his cup again. I just wanted you to know. So it is not a surprise. So you are not afraid when you find out. She looked at him. I am a waitress, she said, from a small town, with a grandmother's language and a shift that ends at 10. I did not ask to be in a photograph. No, he said. You did not. His voice was gentle. But you sat down at my table. And I am glad you did. And my son is glad you did. And now, this is the world that comes with that. He looked at her directly. I will not pretend it is not complicated. I will not make it smaller than it is. You deserve the truth. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Does Luca know you are telling me this? No. He is going to be upset. Probably, Don Enzo said. You are going to tell him you told me? Of course, Don Enzo said. Like this was obvious. Like there was no other way. And you are not worried about that. The old man smiled. Small. Certain. I have been not worried about Luca Romano since 1989, he said. I am his father. He will be upset. He will say I should not have. Then he will think about it. Then he will understand that I was right. He picked up his fork. That is how it goes with him. It has always gone that way. He needs a moment to catch up to the right answer. She looked at this small old man with his good jacket and his coffee and his certain face. You planned this, she said. From the beginning. All of it. Don Enzo looked at his fish. I am an old man, he said. I came for lunch. Don Enzo. He looked up. His eyes were completely innocent. And completely not. Maybe, he said. A little. What happened at 10 p.m.? She walked out the back door at 10. Blue jeans. White sneakers. Bag on her shoulder. The alley was empty. She walked to the end. She turned left. And she saw them. Not Luca. Not Cavallo. Not Pharaoh. Two men she did not know. Standing at the end of the block in a way that was not casual. Looking at her in a way that was not accidental. She stopped. Her heart went fast. She did not show it. Her grandmother had taught her that too. The thing you feel and the thing you show do not have to be the same. She stood still. She thought. 12 minutes to the bus stop. Two men between her and it. Her phone in her bag. The restaurant behind her, but the door was locked from the inside after close. She reached for her phone. Before she touched it, a car pulled up. Black. Fast. Smooth. The door opened. Luca. He looked at the two men. One look. That was all. One look with the flat cold eyes. The ones she had not seen before. The ones that belonged to the other version of him. The two men looked at each other. They walked away. Just like that. Down the block and around the corner and gone. Luca looked at Elena. She was standing on the pavement with her bag on her shoulder and her heart still going fast and her face. She was aware. Completely giving her away for the first time. He got out of the car. He walked to her. Are you all right? He said. Low. The controlled voice. But underneath it, the uncontrolled place. Bigger this time. Much bigger. Yes, she said. I am yes. He looked at her face. He was reading it the way he read rooms. Fast and completely. You are not all right, he said. I will be in a minute, she said. Give me a minute. He gave her a minute. He stood in front of her and said nothing and let her breathe, and that specifically, was the thing that broke something open. Not that he had come. Not that the men had left. Not any of the dramatic things. That he stood there and gave her a minute. When her heart had slowed, she looked at him. Your father told me, she said. His jaw moved. I know. He called me an hour ago. Are you angry at him? A pause. I was, he said, for about 10 minutes. He looked at the empty block, where the two men had been. Then I understood why he did it. Why, she said. He looked at her. Because you deserve to know, he said. And he was right that I would have kept it from you. His voice was careful, honest, costing him something. I would have said I was handling it, which is true, but I would have kept you in the dark, because it is easier to protect someone who does not know the shape of the danger. I am not easier to protect when I do not know, she said. I am just easier to manage. He looked at her. Yes, he said. That is what my father said. Almost exactly. The street was quiet. The night air was cold. The 12 minutes to the bus stop felt very far away. Where were they going to take me? She said. Directly. He was quiet. Luca, somewhere they could use you, he said, to get something from me. She took that in. Cavallo, she said. Yes. Is this over now? Those two men walking away. Does that mean it is over? No, he said. Not yet. She nodded slowly. Then what happens now? She said. He looked at her for a long moment. Now, he said, I take you somewhere safe, while I finish this. And then, he stopped. And then, she said, he looked at her face, the open face, the one with no performance in it, the one that was exactly what it was, a woman who walked 12 minutes to a bus stop every night, and spoke a dying dialect, and listened to old men like they were worth listening to, and opened doors for people without making them feel like they needed help walking through. And then I would like to have a conversation, he said, about what comes next. Between. He stopped again, like the words were somewhere slightly out of reach. Between you and me, if you want that conversation. She looked at him. This careful, complicated, pasta-burning man, who gave her a minute when she needed one, who came without being called. I want the conversation, she said. He looked at her, and something happened to his face that she had not seen before. Not the almost laugh, almost smile, almost something. The real thing. Full and unguarded and completely there. She looked at it for a moment. Then she said, Your father is going to be very pleased with himself. He already is, Lucas said. He sent me a message when I called him. One word. What word? Luca looked at the sky for a second, like he was deciding whether to say it. Then he said, Finally. Elena laughed, real and warm and completely unplanned. And Luca Romano stood on a cold Tuesday night on an empty street and listened to it and thought, Don Enzo knew. He always knew. He took her to the house. Not his house, a different one. Smaller. On a quiet street with trees on both sides and a blue door and lights on inside like someone had been expecting her. A woman named Rosa opened the door before they knocked. Mid-50s. Warm face. She looked at Elena and immediately said, in Italian, Come in, come in. You must be cold. I have made food. Elena looked at Luca. My father's cousin, he said. She is safe. This house is safe. Rosa was already pulling Elena inside by the hand. Elena went. The house was small and warm and smelled like something had been cooking for hours. Real cooking. The kind that takes time and attention and someone who cares about the result. There were photographs on the walls. Children. Holidays. A family that had been living loudly and happily in this house for a long time. Rosa sat Elena at the kitchen table and put food in front of her without asking what she wanted. Bread. Soup. A glass of water. Then she looked at Luca, standing in the doorway. Sit, Rosa said to him. Luca sat. Rosa looked at Elena, then at Luca, then back at Elena. Finally, she said, in exactly the same tone Don Enzo had used in his message. Elena looked at Luca. Luca looked at the ceiling. How many people, Elena said, knew about this before I did? My father has a large family, Luca said. That is not an answer. No, he agreed. It is not. Rosa disappeared into the other room with the particular tact of a woman who has been around complicated men long enough to know when to leave the room. Elena looked at her soup. She picked up the spoon. She ate. She was hungrier than she had realized. The shift, the alley, the two men, the car. It had used something up, and the soup was warm and real, and she let it be good without apologizing for needing it. Luca watched her eat, not in a strange way, in the way of someone who finds something settling about a person doing something ordinary, like it brought the room temperature down to something manageable. Tell me about Cavallo, she said. between spoonfuls. "Elena, you said you would have a conversation," she said. "The conversation where you tell me the truth. Start with Cavallo." He looked at her for a moment. Then he talked. What he told her. Cavallo's real name was not Cavallo. It was a name she would not remember because it was ordinary, and he had spent a long time making himself hard to remember. He had been in the city for 11 years. He worked for a man above him. Always a man above him. Always someone else's name on the door. And his job was what it had always been. Watching. Waiting. Finding the crack. The history between Cavallo's employer and the Romano family was old. Older than Luca. It went back to a disagreement between his father's generation and another family's generation. The kind of disagreement that starts as business and becomes something else when too much is said and too much is lost and nobody is willing to be the first to put it down. Don Enzo had managed it for years. Then Luca had managed it. The management meant distance, space, a kind of cold peace that was not peace, but was not war either. Then Don Enzo's wife died, and someone decided that grief was a good time to push. They had pushed in small ways first. Business things. Disruptions. The kind that could be explained away as coincidence if you were generous, and as aggression if you were not. Luca had not been generous. He had pushed back. Quietly. Efficiently. In ways that Cavallo's employer could not call out publicly without admitting what he had started. It had been going on for 8 months. And then Don Enzo had started going to a restaurant every Tuesday. And a waitress had started sitting at his table. And someone had seen the photographs. Elena listened to all of it. She ate her soup. She did not interrupt. She asked one question at the end. "Is Cavallo's employer more powerful than you?" she said. Luca looked at her. "No," he said. "Then why has this gone on for 8 months?" "Because ending it has a cost," he said. "And I have been measuring the cost." "What changed?" she said. He looked at her directly. She understood. "Me," she said. "I changed the calculation. When those 2 men were on your street tonight," he said, "the calculation became very simple." She looked at her empty soup bowl. Very simple. 2 words that covered a great deal. She did not ask what very simple meant in practical terms. She had decided, in the car on the way here, in the 2 minutes she had given herself, what she was and was not going to need to know. She knew enough. "When will it be over?" she said. "Soon," he said. "How soon?" "Before Tuesday," he said. She nodded. She stood up. She looked around the warm kitchen, the photographs, the bread, Rosa's soup. "I am staying here tonight," she said. "If you will." She looked at him. "Go do what you need to do," she said. "And Luca?" He looked at her. "Come back," she said. Simply, plainly, the way she said everything. He stood up. He looked at her for a moment, the full look, the one that was not managed, and then he said, very quietly, "I will come back." He left. Rosa appeared in the doorway the moment the front door closed. She looked at Elena. She looked at the empty soup bowl. "More," she said. "Please," Elena said. Rosa smiled and picked up the bowl. Don Enzo that night. Don Enzo was not sleeping. He was sitting in the chair by the window of Luca's house. His chair. He had claimed it the first week he arrived, and nobody had suggested he unclaim it. It faced the garden. In the dark the garden was just shapes, but he knew what it looked like in the light, and sometimes that was enough. He had a glass of wine. He was not drinking it. He was just holding it. He was thinking about Elena. He thought about the first Tuesday, her walking across the restaurant with no hesitation, pulling out the chair across from him, not beside him, across, so he could see her face, sitting down like she belonged there, opening her mouth, the Sicilian, not just words, not just the language, the specific shape of it, the sounds that belonged to a particular place on a particular island and nowhere else in the world. He had not heard it like that, not from someone young, not from someone who was not from there, in longer than he could count. It had been like hearing a song he thought he had forgotten. He thought about his wife. She would have known immediately. She had been like that. She would have watched Elena cross the restaurant, and she would have said, before the girl even opened her mouth, "That one. I see that one." She had always been right. He thought about Luca. He had watched his son for 2 years. Watched him run everything. Run it well. Run it correctly. And become slightly less himself with every month that passed. the heaviness settling in, the face closing, the laugh disappearing. Not broken. Luca was not a man who broke, but reduced, operating at a smaller size than he was built for. And then one Tuesday, one girl, one language. Don Enzo took a small sip of his wine. He thought about what Luca had sounded like on the phone last night, asking about the cooking, about the nutmeg, about the memory of watching. That voice, his son's voice, when the weight was off it for a moment. He had not heard that voice in 2 years. He closed his eyes. I told you, he said inside his head, to his wife, to the particular direction that felt like her. I told you I would find someone. I said give me time. He could feel, in the way he had always been able to feel her, something that was amusement, warm and dry and completely familiar. You and your plans, she would have said. It worked, he said out loud, quietly, to the dark garden. The garden did not disagree. Elena slept better than she expected. Rosa's spare room had a good bed and thick curtains, and the particular silence of a house where someone had lived carefully for a long time. She woke at 7. She showered. She found clothes. Rosa had put them outside the door, practical things that more or less fit, and she went to the kitchen. Rosa was already cooking. Of course she was. They ate breakfast together. Rosa talked about her children, 3 of them, grown now, scattered across different cities. She showed Elena photographs on her phone with the energy of a woman who was always slightly surprised that her children had become people. Elena looked at the photographs and asked questions, and Rosa answered them happily, and it was ordinary, warm and ordinary, and completely separate from what was happening elsewhere. Elena was grateful for that. Her phone rang at 11. Luca, are you all right? He said. Yes. Rosa made eggs. Are you? I am fine, he said. It is moving. I will know more by tonight. Okay, she said. Silence on the line. Elena, he said. Yes. My father called me this morning. What did he say? He said a pause. She could hear him deciding whether to say the exact words. He said, do not be an idiot about this one. She pressed her lips together. Helpful, she said. He also said she is the first person in 2 years who made him feel like himself again, and that if I let that walk away because I am afraid of what it costs. Another pause. He used a word. In Sicilian. I will not repeat it. I know the word, Elena said. Your grandmother probably used it. Almost certainly, Luca said. She looked out Rosa's kitchen window. A garden. Small. Neat. A lemon tree in the corner that had no business surviving in this climate, and was doing it anyway. Your father is not subtle, she said. No, Luca said. He has never been subtle. He has always been right instead. He finds it more efficient. She almost laughed. Tonight, he said. I will come tonight. I will be here, she said. She hung up. Rosa, from across the kitchen, said nothing, but her face said a great deal. What happened with Cavallo? She did not know the details. She knew the shape of it. That was enough. She knew Luca made 3 calls and 2 visits, and that by 4 in the afternoon, something had shifted in a way that could not be unshifted. She knew that Cavallo's employer was a practical man. Underneath everything else, underneath the old grudge and the patience and the long game, a practical man. And practical men, when the calculation changes, change with it. The calculation had changed. Luca had made sure of that. Not violently. She asked him later, not about the details, not about the how, but about that specific thing. He looked at her and said no, not violently. And she believed him because he said it the way he said things that were true, without emphasis, without defending it. Just the fact. What he had done was simpler and more final than violence. He had removed the thing Cavallo's employer wanted most, not through force, but through making it permanently unreachable. A door closed in a way that could not be opened from the outside. The 2 men from the street, she found out later, had been pulled back within an hour of leaving the block. Someone above Cavallo had made a call. That call had come because of a call Luca made. The chain was clear. By 6 in the evening, Ferro had left the city. By 7, Cavallo was having a conversation that was not going to go well for him. By 8, Luca was driving to Rosa's house. 8 p.m. Rosa opened the door. She looked at Luca. She looked at his face. Read it the way women who have known complicated men for a long time read faces, fast and completely. Then she stepped aside and let him in and went immediately to the kitchen and made noise in there to let them know she was not listening. Elena was in the sitting room. She stood up when he came in. He looked different, the specific different of after. Not tired exactly. Settled. The way a person looks when something that has been unresolved for a long time has resolved. It is done, he said. I know, she said. I can see it. He looked at her. You read faces, he said. My grandmother taught me, she said. She said faces are the one thing people cannot fully control. You can manage your words, your hands, even your voice. But your face, if someone knows how to look, your face tells the truth. He was quiet for a moment. What does mine say? He said. She looked at him. Properly. The way she had been doing since the restaurant. Not quickly, not a glance, but actually looking. It says you are tired, she said. The good kind of tired. The kind after something is finished. She paused. And it says you are here because you wanted to be here, and not because you had a reason to be here, which is different from how you usually go places. He stared at her. My mother used to say that, he said, very quietly, almost exactly that I always needed a reason to be somewhere, a purpose, that I could not just be in a place because I wanted to be there. Elena said nothing. She said it like it was something I should work on, he said. She was right, Elena said. You should. He almost smiled. I am working on it, he said. I am standing in Rosa's sitting room with no reason except that I wanted to be here. Good, she said. How does it feel? He thought about it. Actually thought about it. Strange, he said, but not bad. Strange but not bad, she repeated. That is how most good things start. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer directly because I have noticed you only do that, and I have. A pause. Small. I have come to rely on it. Ask, she said. What do you want? He said. From this. From whatever this is. I know what I want. I know where I am. I want to know where you are. She looked at him. This man who came to a restaurant because his father was there, who stood in an alley and said he has not laughed in 2 years in the voice with the one uncontrolled place, who burned pasta 6 times trying to get it right, who gave her a minute when she needed a minute, who came back when he said he would come back. I want Tuesdays, she said, and Wednesdays when you call about the pasta. And I want you to keep coming inside instead of sitting in the car. And I want. She stopped. Started again. I want you to keep talking to your father. Really talking. The way you did on the phone about the nutmeg. I want that to keep happening. He was listening. And I want to be told the truth, she said. Not everything. I understand there are things that are yours, and I am not asking for those. But the things that touch my life, I want the truth about those. Always. Yes, he said. And I want it to be slow, she said. I am not in a hurry. I do not want to be rushed into a shape that is not right. We go at the pace that is right. Agreed, he said. She looked at him. What do you want? She said. You said you know. So tell me. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I want to stop being reduced. She waited. I told you I have been carrying things for a long time, he said. That is true. And I am not. I do not want to put it down. It is mine. I am not looking for someone to make it lighter. But I have been. He stopped. Found the words. I have been smaller than myself. For 2 years. Everything going to the carrying, and nothing left over. And then you sat down at my father's table, and you were so, completely yourself. No apology for it. No managing of it. Just. He looked at her. Just Elena. She looked back at him. And I want, he said. I want to be around that. I want the reminder that it is possible to be completely yourself in a room. I had forgotten that was possible. The sitting room was very quiet. Rosa made a sound in the kitchen that was almost certainly not accidental. Luca, Elena said. Yes, your pasta is going to be right next time, she said. The nutmeg makes all the difference. You will make it and it will be right, and you will know immediately. He looked at her. That is an odd thing to say right now, he said. I know, she said, but I am saying it because... She thought about how to say it. Because the pasta is not about pasta. You have been trying to get back to something. Something that was right, and then was not right, and you have been trying 6 times to find it again. And the only thing standing between you, and it was one small thing you did not know you were missing. She paused. That is true of more than pasta. He stared at her. Then he said, very quietly, a pinch of nutmeg. Something small, she said. That changes everything. He looked at her for a long moment, and then his face did the thing it had done outside the restaurant on the cold Tuesday night. The real thing, the full thing, completely unguarded. Stay for dinner, he said. Rosa has been cooking since 2 o'clock. She will not forgive me if you leave. I know, Elena said. She told me an hour ago. Of course she did, he said. She also told me your father called her this morning. Of course he did, he said. She said he was very pleased with himself. He has been very pleased with himself since Tuesday 6 weeks ago, Luca said. He has not tried to hide it. Elena smiled. The real one. Full and warm. He looked at it. Come on, she said, before Rosa comes in here herself. Dinner. Rosa had cooked enough for 12 people. She put it all on the table without apology. Bread and oil and 2 kinds of pasta and something that had been in the oven since the afternoon and a salad that was an afterthought, but a good one. They sat, all 3 of them. Rosa talked most, stories about the neighborhood, about her children, about a neighbor's dog that had eaten something it should not have and the consequences of that. Light things, funny things, the kind of dinner conversation that asks nothing of anyone except to be present. Luca was present. Elena noticed it. He ate and he listened and he laughed twice, real ones, the short surprised kind, and he asked Rosa a question about her son's new job and listened to the full answer. Just present, just there. Rosa noticed too. She looked at Elena, once across the table. One look. Her eyes said, you see? Look at him. Look at what a little bit of the right thing does. Elena looked at her soup. After dinner Rosa made coffee and put it on the table, and then remembered something she needed to do in another room. This was completely transparent. Nobody commented on it. They sat with their coffee. My father will want to know how dinner was, Luca said. Call him, Elena said. Now. Call him now, she said. Tell him dinner was good. Tell him Rosa's pasta is better than yours. Tell him. She paused. Tell him you will come for lunch this week. Not dinner. Lunch. Sit with him in the middle of the day when neither of you have anywhere to be. Luca looked at her. You have a lot of instructions, he said. You have a lot of room for improvement, she said. He looked at her. Then he picked up his phone. He called. Don Enzo answered on the second ring. Luca said, in Italian, because he did not have the dialect, because some things were still in progress. Papa, dinner was good. Rosa's pasta is better than mine. A pause. Listening. Yes, I know. Another pause. Longer. Something on the other end that made his face do something quiet. I know, Papa. Very quiet now. I know. I will come Thursday. Lunch. A pause. Yes, I will bring her. He hung up. He looked at the phone for a moment. Then he looked at Elena. He said. He stopped. What, she said. He said, I knew she was right for you. From the first word. I knew. The kitchen was warm around them. Of course he did, Elena said. He is going to be insufferable. Luca said. He has earned it, she said. Luca looked at her. How did you know, he said, that he had a plan? I did not see it. 6 weeks of Tuesdays and I did not see it. Because you were looking at the situation, she said. I was looking at him. And a man who looks like that. She thought about how to say it. A man who looks like he is just an old man having lunch, but has eyes like that. That man is never just having lunch. Luca was quiet. She would have liked you, he said. Your mother. Elena said. Yes, he said. She would have sat across from you and said. He stopped. Almost smiled. She would have said, this one sees clearly. Keep her. Elena looked at her coffee. She sounds like my grandmother, she said. Maybe they would have liked each other. Luca said. They would have talked for 6 hours and solved most of the world's problems, Elena said, and then argued about whose bread recipe was better. My mother would have won, Luca said. My grandmother never lost an argument in her life, Elena said. He looked at her. It would have been something to watch, he said. Yes, she said. It really would have. Thursday lunch. Don Enzo was already at the table when they arrived. Same restaurant. Same corner table. Same jacket. Same folded hands. But today he was not alone. He had arrived early and spoken to the manager, and the corner had been rearranged. 3 chairs now instead of 2. 3 place settings. 3 glasses. He looked up when they walked in. He looked at Luca. He looked at Elena. He looked at them walking in together, not touching, not performing anything, just walking in together the way people walk in together when it is natural to do so. His face did the thing it had been doing for 6 weeks. Very controlled. Very satisfied. Elena sat across from him. She looked at him in Sicilian without speaking, just with her eyes. The specific look that said, I know exactly what you did, and I am not angry about it. Don Enzo looked back at her with the innocent face. You look well, he said. In Sicilian. You look pleased with yourself, she said. In Sicilian. I am an old man, he said. I have lunch with my son and a young woman who speaks my language. Why would I not be pleased? Luca sat between them. He looked at his father, then at Elena, then at his father again. You two have been doing this since the beginning, he said. Doing what? Don Enzo said. This, Luca said. Whatever this is. The looks. The Sicilian. The planning. Don Enzo picked up his menu. I am just an old man, he said. Who came for lunch? Luca looked at Elena. Elena looked at her menu. The fish today is very good, she said. It is always good on Thursdays. Don Enzo agreed. Luca looked at both of them. Then he shook his head. And he laughed. Not short. Not surprised. A real one. Full and warm and completely himself. The laugh of a man who has put something heavy down and discovered his hands work fine without it. Don Enzo looked at his son laughing. And his face. The carefully controlled face. The innocent face. The face that had been managing its expression for 6 weeks. Let go. Just for a moment. Just enough to show what was underneath. An old man who missed his wife. Who had been watching his son disappear by degrees for 2 years. Who had come to a city and sat at a corner table and waited. Patient, certain, completely sure, for the right thing to walk in. Who had heard a language he thought was gone. Who had laughed. And started a plan. Elena saw it. She saw the whole thing. Just for that moment. Just in the space between one expression and the next. The grief and the love, and the certainty and the satisfaction. The old man who knew things. She looked at him across the table. He looked back at her. She said, very quietly in Sicilian, just for him. She would be proud of you. Don Enzo went very still. Then he straightened his jacket. He picked up his coffee. He said, also quietly, also in Sicilian, also just for her. She told me to. Before she went, she said, find him someone who sees clearly. Someone who does not manage him. Someone who will sit across from him and tell him the truth. Elena looked at him. She said you would know her when you found her, he said. She said you will know. The restaurant was soft and warm around them. Luca was talking to the waiter, ordering the fish, without being told, the right thing without trying. And, Elena said. Don Enzo looked at her. First word, he said. First word you spoke to me. He tapped the table once with one finger. Certain. Final. I knew. Elena looked at this small old man with his white hair and his good jacket and his eyes that were sharp as anything and warm underneath. She thought about a grandmother who had kept a language alive because she refused to let it go, who had passed it from her hands to Elena's and said, keep it. It matters. You will not always know why, but keep it. She thought about a cold Tuesday night, a restaurant, a corner table, an old man sitting alone. She thought about sitting down. She said in Sicilian, tell her thank you, if you talk to her. Don Enzo looked at her. Then he looked at the window. I talk to her every night, he said. She will be glad to hear it. He picked up his coffee. Luca came back from the waiter and sat down and looked at both of them. What did I miss? He said. Nothing, Don Enzo said. Everything, Elena said at the same time. They looked at each other. Don Enzo made the sound, the one between amusement and something warmer. Luca looked at his father, then at Elena. Then he picked up his menu and said, tell me what is good today. And Elena looked at him across the table and thought, there it is. There is the man before the wait, right there at the surface. And she said, everything. Today everything is good. And it was. The last thing. 6 months later, Don Enzo went back to Sicily. He had always planned to. He said this city was fine, but it was not his city. His city had a specific light in the afternoon, and a specific smell in the morning, and a specific sound of bells from a specific church, and nowhere else in the world had those exact 3 things, and he was old, and he wanted them around him. He left on a Thursday. Luca drove him to the airport. Elena came too. At the gate, Don Enzo hugged his son, a real hug, long. The kind they had not done in 2 years, because something had been closed and was now open. Luca held on, and Don Enzo patted his back the way fathers do, and said something quiet that Elena did not hear and did not need to hear. Then Don Enzo turned to Elena. He took her hand in both of his. He looked at her. My wife chose well, he said. In Sicilian, she always chose well. Elena's eyes burned. She did not look away. Come back soon, she said. Come back, and I will find you a new restaurant. Better fish. Impossible, he said. Probably, she said. He smiled. The deep, sudden, completely unguarded one. Then he turned and walked through the gate. Straight back. Good jacket. The walk of a man who knows where he is going. He did not look back. He did not need to. He had done what he came to do. Luca stood beside Elena, and they watched until the old man was through and gone. Then Luca said quietly, he planned this from the beginning. Yes, Elena said. All of it. The restaurant. Every Tuesday. All of it. Yes, she said again. A pause. He could have just introduced us, Luca said. Normally. He could have just said, I met someone, come for dinner. He could have, Elena agreed. Why didn't he? She thought about it. Because you would have come for dinner, she said. And you would have been polite and managed and careful. And I would have been the same. And nothing would have happened. Nothing real. Luca was quiet. He needed you to see me without knowing who I was, she said. And he needed me to see you without the name in the way. He needed it to start from the right place. She paused. He gave us the thing your mother told him to give you. Someone to see clearly. He just made sure the conditions were right for the seeing. Luca looked at the gate where his father had disappeared. A pinch of nutmeg, he said. One small thing, she said. That changes everything. He was quiet for a moment. Then he looked at her. The pasta, he said. Last week. I made it again. I know, she said. You told me. It was right, he said. Finally. Exactly right. She looked at him. Yes, she said. It was. He held out his hand. Not a gesture. Not a performance. Just his hand. Open. Offered. She looked at it for 1 second. Then she put her hand in his. And they walked out of the airport together into the afternoon light. And somewhere over the city a plane was climbing, and inside it a small old man in a good jacket was settling into his seat and looking out the window at the city getting smaller below him and smiling. Not the controlled one. Not the satisfied one. The deep one. The real one. The one that had been waiting. She knew, he said inside his head, to the specific direction that felt like her. From the first word. Just like you said.